Hey guys, it's Dan, your host of Dan's Reviews, and today I'm back for my weekly review for this week's episode of The Walking Dead World Beyond. This one's going to be for an absolutely awesome episode this week of The Walking Dead World Beyond. This is going to be for Season 1, Episode 7, Truth or Dare.
Refined fuel just right for the taking.
We'll split up and work our way up.
They took the time to stash this supply good.
We could all be in danger.
Jackpot.
Drop the gun.
You gonna be okay, Hope?
Okay guys, so it's going to be doing my weekly review for this week's episode of The Walking Dead World Beyond. This is going to be for Season 1, Episode 7, Truth or Dare. So, this week's episode of The Walking Dead World Beyond. Guys, honestly, after many weeks of kind of struggling with whether or not I like it, there's a lot of things I do like a little bit, but there's a lot of things I really have not been enjoying from World Beyond. I would say at least since about episode 3, I have been either really not liking it, or like it's just okay, or just not liking it. You know, like I've kind of always been in that kind of mindset ever since we saw the first few episodes of this show. And even then, like episode 1, 3, really 1, 3, 2 was decent, but really 1 and 3, I found to be, good episodes, but even those weren't like wow episodes. They just, for the quality of World Beyond, they were good. But in terms of this week's episode, I don't know what happened, but this was a really good episode, okay? We didn't even get anything from the CRM at all this week, but it just was a really entertaining episode. It really was. And I think that the thing is about this week's episode of World Beyond that I really liked is that it focused on a character that really needed some work done. It really did. And spoiler warning, of course, if you haven't seen the episode yet, we basically focused on Huck this episode. And I was or I guess now we can say, Jen. So that's another kind of development as well too. That is, her real name is Jennifer, but obviously we find out that, in this episode through the flashbacks. But this was kind of an episode focused around her, as well as also kind of Hope too, with, the continuation of the whole, she's the one that killed Elton's mom, who, in this week's episode, we do actually get to see as Huck makes it back from the run, where basically, Felix kind of, and the others, they pick her up and then she goes with them. We get to see, kind of some chill scenes with her and Felix, like with the Mountain Dew scene, which is kind of interesting to see. But basically, she is kind of the one that helps Hope in this episode as they play this Truth or Dare game. Now, this is a very interesting kind of scene. We basically get to see the kids play Truth or Dare with Percy and Tony as they're kind of just kind of chilling, that type of thing. And Hope doesn't really want to play this stupid game when it comes to kind of her telling them the truth. And you have basically Elton that he kind of tries to, get her to come back. But of course, it's not the person for her to be talking to right now, right? So she basically tells Huck in this episode, which I was really surprised about because I actually didn't expect this to actually happen. But yes, she does tell Huck in this episode that she is the one that killed Elton's mom. And, basically Huck says in this episode that there are some things, and I love how this relates to the flashbacks, which we'll get to in a minute, but basically she says that sometimes you do have to kind of just hold on to stuff. Sometimes it's not the right time, that type of thing. And sometimes you kind of can't, you can't kind of just say it. You got to sometimes keep some of that stuff with you. And kind of relating to a lot of the stuff that Huck keeps with her from her past, kind of teaching Hope the similar type of thing, which is very interesting. So Huck basically lets the secret kind of stay with her and Hope, and they now both know what the truth is, and it's very interesting as Hope kind of breaks down and that type of stuff as she's kind of drunk, so it's easier to get information out of her, right? So, I do like kind of everything they did with the kids in this episode. They weren't cringy, they weren't, annoying, they weren't frustrating to watch. The whole love triangle thing with Percy and Iris and, Silas is still not my favorite, but it came to a crazy conclusion in this episode, which we'll talk about more. So let's talk about, so that's all that stuff. They've got the maps, which they're going to find, obviously, how to kind of use more fuel to kind of be able to turn maybe months in travel into maybe weeks, I believe is what Felix said, in terms of their trips. So, which is very interesting. Now, we get to see the flashbacks with Huck, so let's talk about this. So, I really like this a lot, because we get to see her part of the military. Obviously, she's, first off, we get to see her, playing darts and stuff like that. She nails it, she gets it right in the center, which is really crazy, and, basically, the world falls apart, she's part of the military, kind of group, and basically, whatever she is instructed, that whatever is walking around, coming at you, doesn't matter what it is, you shoot it, you kill it. And, Huck's just like, no, I don't want to do that, but of course she kind of has to, and we see that all play through. But in terms of all the stuff with Huck in the military, I mean, I just found it crazy, especially with them killing innocent people. I mean, honestly, that was such a crazy thing to see. And it was kind of hard to watch, honestly, because I was like, man, no, I don't like this at all, and neither did Huck, and it's just crazy what happened and what went down as you see all these innocent people just getting killed, and it's crazy. It was some heavy stuff, and not only that, we get to also find out in this episode that the scar that she has is actually just for her to kind of remember and kind of that type of thing, as her boyfriend did as well too. But that is basically what the scar came from. So it wasn't like a battle scar or anything like that. It was just for her to kind of remember, which is very interesting. And her boyfriend, I believe, did have one of those as well too. So that's kind of cool, and kind of a cool kind of relate to that. So all this stuff with her was amazing. But I love how it kind of goes to what happens later with Hope, where we have this guy that basically holds her at gunpoint, and this guy is kind of nervous because Huck and or I guess maybe we'll start calling her Jen now. Huck and Hope are, they have the CRM kind of symbols on them, but on their jackets, so the guy's very worried and stuff like that. And he obviously knows who the CRM people are, but she basically says, let go of Hope and talk to me, that type of thing. So he lets go of Hope, and then pointing the gun at her, and I was just like, okay, Huck is like turning into like one of my favorite characters in this episode, which is weird because she was one of my least favorites. But when she let Hope go, when he made her made him let Hope go, I butchered that. When he let Hope go, and then he, kind of holds the gun up to her, to Huck, and then basically she has to, unfortunately, to kind of protect them, kill the guy, and we get to see that as the flashbacks play through. But it's so great. I mean, honestly, it was such a great scene as she saves Hope and also her own life and kills the guy. Just crazy. I mean, absolutely insane. And it was a great scene. It really was, and I couldn't believe it when it went down. So, yeah, guys, that was that. So Huck is now, I will just say, for right now, has turned into probably one of my favorite characters in The Walking Dead World Beyond. After all of this stuff with her, I love Huck. I really do. I really was not a big fan of her before, but it just shows that good writing can fix anything. And honestly, this episode came out of nowhere for me. Just in terms of how the writing went, the flashbacks, how amazing it was. I just couldn't believe how amazing this episode was. So basically, we get to see as well, let's talk about the end, because that is another heavy, heavy piece of information here. We get to see Silas. Obviously, he is jealous of the whole this whole love triangle thing is just not going well for him. And basically, at the end of this episode, you have, Iris that kind of is invited out by Percy, and she's wondering where he is. And then, of course, she walks in. Really creepy atmosphere as she's kind of walking in here, calling for him. And we see Tony. And the group discovers it, and of course, Tony is done. So Tony is dead, and basically Felix and the others get called in, and we have Silas that is just sitting there with blood, and he just, the look on his face and the reaction that, everybody has to just seeing him there after just doing what he did. And then that's it. So they actually did, for once, a darn good cliffhanger in The Walking Dead World Beyond. For once, they actually did a really good cliffhanger that actually made me excited for the next episode. And next week's episode, so let's talk about the promo for next week. We have basically, it looks like the group is kind of unsure about Silas now, obviously. And we have, a kind of Felix that says maybe this is the fresh start he's going to get. So are they going to carol him? Are they going to just make him just leave? Like, is that what they're going to do? Elton does say in the promo that they're going to leave you, right? So I mean, are we finally going to get to see next episode, like, the full flashback of what happened? It looks like that's the case. And just what happens next week with Silas. I'm ready. I mean, I am ready for it. It's going to be an amazing episode, I have a feeling. And honestly, this episode put the show in the right direction. It really did. It put the show in the right direction, and it did what it needed to do. And it made me interested on what's coming next. And I just couldn't believe it, guys. It was a crazy ending, and it was an amazing episode for Huck. It was a crazy episode overall. The stuff with the kids was actually really enjoyable in this one. And, you know, Huck is turning into probably one of my favorites now. And a darn good cliffhanger with a crazy death out of nowhere. So, guys, this was an awesome episode. I mean, it really was. Episode 6, you guys will know, was a decent episode for me. Episode 5, another decent episode. Episode 4, I just, like, could not stand. I was not a fan of that one. But, this episode for me, you could say I'm being too generous for this week, maybe, but I'm going to give this episode a 9 out of 10 at least. I mean, I think it definitely deserves it. There are minor things here and there, and sure, it wasn't like a crazy episode, but it kind of was, because we saw a lot, and I think this might actually go down as maybe my favorite episode of World Beyond yet. Either this one or the pilot, but honestly, this episode gave more of a reaction out of me than even the pilot did, honestly. So, I don't know, guys. This episode really fixed World Beyond for me. It really did. We'll have to see if episode 8 and 9 and 10 are still good, but the writing, something happened here, because this was an amazing episode. And no, I don't think they have a ghostwriter for World Beyond. I just think this time it was sheer luck. They wrote a good episode, and they sped up the pacing. They had better storylines, better dialogue, better acting, better backstory for a character that I've wanted to know more about for a while, and it was a great episode, guys. It really, really was. I mean, I can go into more of it, but honestly, I'll just say it was a really great episode of World Beyond, guys. So, anyway, comments, please, guys. I definitely want to hear. We will definitely do a Q&A for World Beyond this week. After this one, absolutely. So, anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Write your comments in the comment section below. If you guys are new here, click the subscribe button so you can my videos for The Walking Dead World Beyond. Follow Dennis Walking Reviews, guys. And, of course, I'll see you guys really soon for another video for The Walking Dead World Beyond. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys, and peace out.
Anybody out there?